Hey there, what would it take for online learning to work? What would it take for online learning to work? Well, you could ask the question this way. What would it take for any kind of learning to work? For you to learn anything, you've got to want to learn it. Wanting to learn something may seem obvious, but how much you want to learn something is actually what matters. Most people want to learn many things. Very few really do. Your biggest challenge as a language learner is usually what you do after your English course, not during your English course. The most difficult part of language learning is not forgetting what you learn. This is not surprising when you understand that learning English is first and foremost a physical skill. Like any other skill, you can learn it, but learning it alone is not enough for you to use it. You may curiously want to ask, so what do I have to do to be able to use it? Well, luckily, the answer to that question is simple and easy to understand. Putting it to practice, though, is unfortunately not. What you have to do to be able to use English is actually use it. Just like any other physical skill, language improves with repetition. The sooner you understand that, the quicker you start to make progress. For you non-believers, think about the time you learned to drive. Unless you're an absolute genius, you didn't just read some manual about driving and then jumped in a car and started driving around. You probably had to take driving lessons from poor, terrified mom or dad, or from a driving coach, but you definitely had to drive to learn driving. And not only did you drive when someone was teaching you how to drive, but you also drove when you wanted to practice, because you probably noticed, like the rest of us, that the more time you spent on the road driving with other cars, the more comfortable and the more confident you felt. Right? So, learning English is not different from learning how to drive. As a matter of fact, it's much more difficult than driving. So how should you practice English? Well, the best way to practice English is by using English. To use English, you have to do something that few people seem to be interested in doing, and that is called immersion. To fully understand the idea of immersion and how you could immerse yourself into anything, you only have to imagine you're jumping into the water. The idea is, if you want to learn how to swim, you won't learn by sitting on the edge of the pool with just your toes dipped in the water. All your body needs to be in the water. You need full contact with the water. You need full contact with English. You have to immerse yourself into English to use English. How do you do that? Well, there are only 4 ways to use any language. Okay, you can read it, you can listen to it, you can write it, or you can speak it. When you do that, and you spend plenty of time doing it, your English will naturally improve. It's not rocket science. Unfortunately, very few students immerse themselves into the language. That's clear from the time you spend on your online activities. I see students complete an activity in literally 5 minutes. I don't know what you can learn or remember in 5 minutes, but that brings us back to that very important question we asked in the beginning of the clip. How much do you want to learn it? I guess the only person who knows the true answer to that question is you. So have a great day.